All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the third virtual race with the Donkey Car and DIY Robocars communities. I'm Chris Anderson. I'm going to be your MC today. This is, for those of you who've done this before, this is a virtual event by which competitors are running code on their own machine that simulates the car, and meanwhile the cars are racing head to head in an online simulator running in a server. So in this case, what's happening is that the simulator and the servers are sending down simulated video streams to the competitors' own computers at home. Their computers are then calculating what the car would do based on that video stream, and then sending up commands, steering and throttle commands to the server, which then drives the simulated cars in the server. So it directly models what we do in the real world, and but has certain advantages. The silver lining of the whole COVID thing is that we've really gotten a lot better at simulation. And Ton Kramer in particular, who's our server master and technical host today, gets a lot of credit for this. That that we've really he's really established a very robust simulation framework, and not only that, but it's now been automated, so that if you go to the GitHub and follow the instructions, you can run this kind of race yourself. You can run the simulator. You can have any one of your friends or anybody you want participate. And so, this is sort of a model of what anybody can do anytime on their own. Requires nothing, just regular computers. You don't need a physical car. But the important thing is that because it's so easy to do, and you can build up huge data sets by doing it in simulation, it maps very neatly to the real world. And so rather than having to, with a physical car, wait for race day to do a small amount of training, you can now train in the simulator, at home, on a very realistic track, and then bring a car to the physical race in a much better trained condition. In addition, you can use techniques like reinforcement learning that would be impossible to do in the real world, and are now becoming a very competitive technique in the virtual world. Speaking of the physical events, as you know, we paused our physical events, at least in the Bay Area, due to COVID. However, we do plan to restart at Circuit Launch in Oakland on August 1st. And the current plan is to actually synchronize the virtual and the real events, so that we run a virtual event for people who cannot be in Oakland in the morning at 10 o'clock, while the people who are physically in Oakland are training on the real track. And then at the end of the virtual event, we'll then segue to the real event, same live stream, and you can sort of see how it corresponds to the real world. Going forward, the current plan is that we would do a physical event every third month, and virtual events every month between them. So it would go physical, virtual, virtual, physical, virtual, virtual throughout the year. And of course, anybody can run these on their own. Those are just the ones that are run out of this main community. While our racers get ready, I would like to introduce our track master, Adam Conway, who will tell you a little bit about the race rules for today, and then Ton Kramer, the tech master, will talk a little bit about the mechanics behind the track, what's changed, and how you can do it yourself. So, Adam, what do we have to look forward to today?
Yeah, sure. As always, we do 3 laps. We are looking at the best single lap time for seeding for the final race. Couple things on the racing. We will use judgment to decide whether or not we will restart a race if there's a problem with a crash or something like that. But in general, we want to make sure that there's at least that everybody tries to get at least one lap time in this race. So that's our intention. In the case of the final races, one thing to know is if both cars don't finish, we will restart both cars. If one car finishes, they will proceed to the next round. So just a couple things about how we generally score the races.
Terrific. All the racers should have received an invitation to a WebEx, and where a lot of the back a lot of behind the scenes work is being done. So we expect all racers to be on the WebEx right now, waiting for their call. When they get their call, they basically just tell their local software to connect to the server, and that places their car on the track so we can all see it. Ton, can you turn over to you to talk a little bit more about the technical mechanics and what's new today?
Sure, yeah. Um, so the simulator, it kind of creates this virtual environment. We have a car which is using physics, and we have a virtual camera that's simulating what you would have in the real world. It takes a rendering of the world, and then it sends it back to your software. Your software could be written in Python or anything that can open a socket and listen to JSON, and then it makes a steering decision, sends it back to the simulator, and it does so 20, 30 frames a second, and that's how the competitors are driving.
And the this track, Ton, this is our mountain track, which is the second time we've used it. But can you talk a little bit about how the track is designed and maybe some thoughts on how people can modify or create their own?
Yeah, we so there's a few different ways to create a track. There's a scripting language that's a very basic, like move kind of turtle graphics, move forward, turn right 10 degrees, do a turn. Um, I think that's a good way to start. Another way to do it is you can just create a flat plane, and you can drop a 3D vector, 3D points, behind a car, and you can just drive your course, and then that becomes your road. And the third way is you can model this. So the way I did this course was in Maya. I put a NURB spline down and just kind of tweaked it around until I thought it was kind of interesting, and then created the geometry in Maya and then imported it into Unity. So that's another way. Oh, and we have a fourth way. Maxime has a course generator that will randomly generate different courses, and that looks really cool.
That there is a lot of instructions. If you go to donkeydark.com and the docs, you'll see there's a whole section on virtual racing, both setting up your own and participating in this one. The track creator that Ton just mentioned, we're going to be adding that to the docs shortly. So watch for that. Okay, with that done, I think we're ready to start our first racers. We're going to start with we're going to try to pair the racers by their sort of best time to date, more or less. We may get it not quite right initially. Remember that the time starts when they cross the start line. So even though maybe one of them may be a little slow to start, don't worry. Their time, they may still actually be able to win because the clock starts when they start. So we're going to start with the slowest. All the times are good, but we're going to start with the slowest recorded times, just for pairing, and we're going to end with the fastest recorded times. Everyone's going to be recorded for their, as Adam said, for their best one lap time, and then we're going to have the ladder afterwards. So coming up, why don't we start with Arushi and Artash? Arushi and Artash are both in the sort of 33 to 35 second range. So Arushi and Artash, if you can now connect to the server, your cars will appear on the, I see one of them already. Your cars will appear at the start line. All right. So we now have two cars. I think Artash's car, very good. Okay, so what you'll see here before we start, what you'll see here is that you can choose any kind of a shape you want, any kind of color. We'll restart that. So you can, that's simply cosmetic. Oh, Ton, is this a real start or shall we restart?
Oh, hold on a second.
Wait, this is so automated that it may just start on its own. So we'll resume.
There we go.
Oh, okay. Oh, can you just pause it just for a second? No, we're just going to go. Okay, while it's going, I'll tell you the shapes of the cars are cosmetic. They don't actually change the handling of the dynamics of the car. The handling of the dynamics of the car is set by the physics of the simulator. The driving ability of the car is set by the competitor's own software running locally. What you see now is it looks like Artash is going well. That's an aggressive driving technique. You can see it's kind of going pretty fast, and as a result, we're swerving all over the place. Doesn't matter. Whatever gets time on the board, you can see that we do have. Um, you can see the time counting down already. It looks like Arushi may be stalled out. I think everybody is stalled out at this point. Um, Artash moves on. Arushi, we may, if you have the ability to, figure out what went wrong and modify it, we may bring you back for another run down the
Okay,
line.
thanks.
Okay, very good. So Artash moves on. Our next up, uh, bear with me as I do a little ranking. Do we have Sergey and Malpai? Check on the WebEx here. Forgive me. So the problem is I've got people's names on on the WebEx and car names on the spreadsheet. So I'll try to get this right. Okay, let's start with I'll try to correspond this with what I actually have here. Do we have Mega Racer? That's Thomas Milos and Tony Debat, Awkward Poet. See, Tony, you're here. And if you could come to the start line, please. And do we have Thomas, Mega Racer? Okay, if we do not have Thomas, then the next one I'll bring up would be do we have Luke Helios? Helios, I see you on the WebEx. Could you please come to the start line?
I'm coming.
Very good. By the way, on deck after this, I think we will have, again, I'm kind of corresponding with those who are online right now. Could we have Parking Lot Nerds and RCAI come up? That's RCI is Ryan, and Parking Lot Nerds is, I think, Dave. You're on deck. Okay, so we now have Awkward Poet versus Helios. I see that I'm missing the drama of the start because I'm so busy looking at a spreadsheet, but they appear to have already started. Okay, I should have known that. Is it possible we actually, okay, we have a 25-second first lap, which is excellent. Okay, Helios seems to have stalled out. If I'm not mistaken, was Awkward Poet going backwards?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start this one again. Okay, we'll start this again. Okay, they're both off. Both going the right direction. This is a good start. Oh, nice collision. That was impressive.
Helios is using a reinforcement learner, if I remember.
Oh, okay.
correctly.
Yeah. So I normally as we get into into the latter, I may ask the racers to talk about their techniques. Reinforcement learning, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is a method by which we're going to restart this race. Is a method by which you basically give the software goals. You basically reward it for doing certain things and punishing it for doing the wrong things. So you give it goals, and it tries to find its own path by achieving the good goals and avoiding the bad goals, or the bad punishments. That, as opposed to the usual one of behavioral cloning, where you actually drive manually for a few laps, and then it learns how you do. So, the nice thing about behavioral cloning is that it learns very quickly. The bad thing is that it doesn't continue to learn. You have to continue to teach it. Whereas the nice thing about reinforcement learning is that it should get better and better over time. Okay, so I guess those are going to be the final times. Awkward Poet moves on with a 28 second first lap. All right. So let me just bear with me while I. Okay, so I'm gonna. Awkward Poet moves on. Artash has moved on. We're going to. Let's see. Helios does not move on, and Arushi is probably going to come back. Okay, I believe I had RCAI and Parking Lot Nerds on deck. Is that right? Are they ready? They are indeed, and we're going to restart. Okay, they are. Parking Lot Nerds has a tradition of doing very well in this race, so we'll see how that goes.
Sometimes the racer that starts on the outside, their model doesn't apply a lot of throttle in the beginning, and so they tend to get a slow start. But since we're taking the best lap as your lap time, that still gives them an opportunity to come back even though they're behind.
In the physical races, we often we only use their first lap time, because that's it's fair. You don't go from a running start. In these races, we use your best time regardless. And so a technique that I haven't seen anyone use yet, but they could use, is they could actually start slow to make sure they reliably finish, and then just accelerate with the second lap and the third lap, because the best one counts. So that way they could really take advantage of the running start. And perhaps someone has done this and I just don't know about it. But that's the difference between the physical and the real. The physical and the virtual, rather. Okay, Parking Lot Nerds has in fact done very well so far, but RCAI is still doing a solid lap. Has done a solid lap. Okay, that's the third lap for Parking Lot Nerds. And 20. Okay, they're now on the third lap. There we go. That's finished. So we have a best lap time. Both of them excellent best lap times. Parking Lot Nerds is ahead at 24.58. All right. So now I'm going to bring up. Do I have Thomas Milas, Mega Racer, yet? Do we have Thomas Mega Racer? Arushi, I'm going to bring you back for this one. And let's see, who else is not raced? Maxime, are you racing today? You are. Okay, Maxime, could you go up against Arushi, please? This is Hot Pop Rocket versus Maxime.
Okay, I'll start the race.
Excellent starts. Starting to look competitive. Arushi, you're doing very well. Arushi, by the way, shocked us all last time by revealing that that she is 12 years old. Arushi, did I get that right? Sorry?
I'm 10.
You're 10 years old. That's even more shocking. Arushi's 10 years old. And I think Maxime is also a teenager as well. Is that right, Maxime? You're 16. So we have a 10-year-old versus a 16-year-old here, which is really inspiring and just shows how accessible this is. This is kind of like, this is a PhD. We have, actual university professors here, but this is PhD stuff just like 4 or 5 years ago. And now we have a 10-year-old versus a 16-year-old.
That is incredible, really.
And can these times be right? No.
I think I went backwards then forward.
Yeah, yeah, that's a kind of a loophole right now.
Don't worry, Rishi. We'll get a real time for you. Sadly, we can't let you keep the 14, but we'll figure something out.
There we go.
Maxime, by the way, is in France, and Rushi, you're in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that so? Toronto. So this is terrific that we not only can have all ages and all skill sets, but also all geographies. Virtual racing has its advantages. So Adam, can I ask you to make a ruling on this one? I think we should probably take Arushi's 31 time as her official time. Do you agree?
I think it's him.
I'm on mute. I'm on mute. Sorry. Yes, I've been talking, but you couldn't hear me. Yeah, we'll just take the 31.
Okay, so Rishi, you have points on the board. Maxime, you have an excellent time of 23.72. You're definitely going into the ladder.
Very nice.
I think the top 8 go into the ladder. So that is terrific. Congratulations, both of you. We're now going to move up to the next group. This is let's see. I'm going to give Thomas. I think this is going to be the last chance for Thomas, Mega Racer. And speak now, or I will pass you over. Otherwise, I'd like Antoine, RL Racing Robot, to go against Jonas Blank. Do I see Jonas? And do I see Antoine? I see Antoine. Okay, so Jonas versus Antoine. And then on deck, I think we're going to start moving to our the beginnings of our Japanese contingent, who are always excellent. I'm going to ask Hogenemushi. I'm sorry, I'm still not pronouncing your name correctly. I'll try better. Hogenemushi, I'd like you to go against Jack Silberman. That's you're on deck. So right now we have RL Racing Bot versus Blank. Looks again very competitive. You're going to start to see, more and more faster times and more consistent runs as we get further down the rankings, because these are racers who have had more experience in training.
So Antonin's robot, the RL Racing robot, is using an autoencoder. And the interesting bit about that is that it uses an interpreted view of the world, and that interpreted view doesn't include other cars. So it doesn't actually see the other racer, but it still does quite well.
And the cars that do see the other racer, how do they reliably train against another racer, given that the location of that racer is unpredictable from race to race?
That's an open problem. What I've tried to do is make accessible the ability to launch multiple AI robots and training. So there's scripts where you can launch 10 cars if you have a model that will run, and then you basically just have to do your training regime against those 10 cars and gather data.
Okay.
We're going backwards. Where are we? Oh, we have one racer still advancing, and we have one hung up. Oh. And now it's going backwards. Should we call this?
I think we should call this. We have two decent times on the board, 24.34 and a 27.14. So RL Racing Robot is the winner of this particular race. All right. Next up, I believe I've got, I think we had Jack versus Hoganimushi.
This should be a good race.
Yeah. I think Hoganimushi came in first or second last month, possibly first, I think.
Yes, yes.
Um, so, Jack, I'm sorry, I put you up against a bit of a ringer, but you also have done well. So this should be a good race.
So waiting for who are we waiting for?
Hoganimushi, we need you to, okay, we have one up. I don't know which one that is. And Jack, we need you to log into the server as well.
Sometimes we have connection issues with our Japanese competitors as they log in. The simulator
I'm not sure if that's me there, but my system's ready to go.
Yeah, can I ask both of you guys to disconnect and reconnect again?
Now you're probably thinking, well, if we have this, wide geography, is a disadvantage if you have a longer ping time? And the answer is there is a slight disadvantage. Now you can compensate for that by training your code to operate with latency. And so it is a technique. Latency happens in the real world, and good code can handle it. Now, sometimes it's unpredictable latency, and you can find yourself in a position where you expected a lot of latency, it didn't get much. In that case, you're actually driving ahead of yourself, and that's also bad. But this is all part of the game. All right, and by the way, on deck, I've got Nazy, who is again another one of our longtime champions. And I think I'm missing one. Anybody who has not been called yet and is prepared to race, please put your hand up in the chat, or please say so in the chat so I can add you to the list. This is the WebEx chat, by the way, not the Twitch stream. So right now I only have Nazy on my list as someone who has not gone yet. So if you have not gone, I need you to ping. Okay, Raul. Ironically enough, Raul, who runs the spreadsheet, was not in the spreadsheet. So it'll be Raul versus Nazy on deck.
And Chris, we have an issue.
Yes.
There is a bug in the simulator, which I forgot about it, but we just found out. There's a collision plane that you cross to get your lap time, and it does not extend to the very edge of the course. So if you cross the finish line at the very outside edge, you're able to do so without triggering your lap time. And apparently that is what just happened for one of our competitors, and so we're going to have to watch for that.
Shall we restart this race?
I don't think that occurred this time. It's up to you if you want to restart. We've got 3 laps. Yeah.
Oganimushi is not on it doesn't have points, and he really should.
Yeah.
Given how good he is.
I'm okay with his starting. Can I keep my time at 23:92?
Fine with me.
Yeah.
The time would stay in.
Well, I'm going to stop, and then that records the times, and then we can call him back, or whoever you need to.
Okay, Mushi, could you please log in again?
We have to stop and his start, Tom?
Yes.
Okay.
Disconnect and reconnect. Okay, and again, Nazy and Raul, you are on deck.
Okay, let me hit the race. There we go.
And they're off. Okay, that is a really competitive race. I mean, you're looking at 2 well-trained cars. Oops, I spoke too soon. Every time I do that, I can make someone crash.
There's Jack, and Hoganamushi is hung up on the rail. Well,
Jack,
Jack
obviously, if you do better, I think if you do even better, of course, this time your best time will count.
Jack has time, so should we restart it to give Hoganamushi a time to?
Let's give him one more chance. Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't predict whether they're going to be on the inside or the outside lane, and sometimes cars are quite vulnerable to that. So we're going to let Hoganamushi. Are they both going at the same time? Yeah. Or are they? I can't tell. We're just doing Hogan. Okay, they're both on.
Yeah, Jack's time just started when he crossed, so
Yeah. So very good. Hoganamushi has a time on the board. I've seen him do better. We'll see how this plays out with the ladder.
he might be playing it safe. Considering he's had some troubles, he probably switched to a more conservative model.
That makes sense. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay. That's what we expect. 2370.
Wow.
Okay, that's very impressive. Jack, nice. 2320.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to get very competitive in the ladder.
Yeah.
I love the drifting, by the way.
That's very cool.
Yes, I don't know whether our Japanese friends were the first to start drifting. It would be sort of appropriate if they were, given that drifting started, I think, in Japan in the real world. But it's a nice technique, and the physics of these machines do allow it. All right, 2 excellent times. Okay, Jack, you are the winner of that race. Congratulations. We're now going to go our last head-to-head before we move to the ladder. So can I have Nazy and Raul to the start line, please? Again, anybody else who has not gone yet and should have gone, please raise your hand or ping us on the chat in WebEx. Otherwise, we're going to end after this race and the head-to-head, and they're off. Again, really tight competition. Raul's one of the maintainers of this code and is really helpful, and he's been helping me in particular on some of the NVIDIA Jetson support, and just overall the maintainers here are some of the best I've seen. Antonin is the sort of project leader, deserves a huge amount of credit, but there's dozens of people who work on this every week.
That was a pretty good trick.
What was that? Was it a flip? What's interesting is, of course, the competitors are doing nothing right now. This is completely hands off. They're watching in pride or horror, depending on how things are going. All they can do is, after the end of the race, they can maybe change some of the parameters. But once that start button is pressed, it's all hands off.
Yeah, in terror. In terror is more like it.
It's like watching your kids go to college, or I guess middle school would be more appropriate in this case, since so many of them are actually in middle school. Okay, Nazy's doing very well. Both doing very well. I think okay. So, but I think it's fair to say. So Nazy did a fantastic 23.68. Raul did a good time. I think Raul's probably playing a little conservative for this race to make sure he gets points on the board. But we're going to now see everybody ramp it up for the ladder. Okay, so that is the end of the head-to-heads. Now I'm going to switch to our other spreadsheet, and so now ranked.
I need to go update the ladder. It might take a moment too.
Okay, so right now in let's see, the best lap rank. This doesn't look right. I don't think our best lap rank is correct. Bear with us for a second.
I see a different value. Are you looking at?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the last one. I'm sorry. That was the May 20th one. I'm with you. I'm with you now. Okay.
Good.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So now I think I've got the correct one. Thank you. So right now I have in first place, going into the ladder is Jack, then Hogenemushi, Nazy, Maxime. For some reason I have Jack twice. We'll take him out for the second one. Then RL Racing Robot, Parking Lot Nerds, Raul, and RCAI. So if that stands up, those will be the 8 going into the ladder. So give us a moment to construct the ladder. But the way the ladders work is that you actually get a sort of somebody from the top of the list and someone from the bottom list to go together. So we don't end up with like the top 2 wiping each other out at the beginning of the ladder. So it looks like it's going to be at least for the first race, it's going to be Jack versus somebody. We're going to find out. So Jack, get ready, and we're going to find out who you're up against in a moment.
It's going to be RCAI.
Jack, RCAI, please log in. Jack, log in. On deck for the next pairing will be Maxime versus RL Racing Robot. You're on deck. After that will be Nazy versus Parking Lot Nerds. And after that is Hogenemushi versus Raul.
So we have one competitor. There we go. And,
all right. There we have RCAI. We have Jack. They're at the starting line, and they're off. The winner of this race will move on to the next stage of the ladder. So these are the top 8. Then we're going to move to the top 4, top 2, and then finally the ultimate victor. Okay, so in this case, Jack would be favored as he is the top of the list. So if he wins, that won't be a surprise. But let's see how RCAI. It can always be a surprise when could be that the number 1 just wipes out. We're going to be pretty disciplined on this one. So at this point, everybody's has proven they can race. And so if one wipes out and the other one continues, we may actually just allow that and not restart the race.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
So Jack is so far in the lead with a 28.8 best lap. RCAI is just 2 seconds behind. Let's see if that changes as they go into the second lap. Oh, Jack moves up to a 25.02, as you might expect from getting from a running start. RCAI also moves up to a 26.94, not quite good enough to beat Jack yet. We'll see how things go in the third lap. Both of them running really well. And there we have the finish. Okay, so very, very close as it turns out. 24.36 versus 24.88.
Wow. Really
impressive race from RCAI. Moving up in speed. However, Jack is the winner by a fifth of by 0.5. By a half a second. So Jack moves on. Next up will be Maxime versus RL Racing Robot. Gentlemen, please come to the start line. Log into the server.
There's
on
RL
deck.
Racer.
On deck, we have Nazy versus Parking Lot Nerds. So get ready.
Let's see if we're hung up here. We might need to ask you guys to disconnect and reconnect.
All right, so Maxime RL Racing Robot, please disconnect.
And reconnect.
And we're back.
Okay, I will start the race. Both competitors from France.
Oh, interesting.
Hopefully their packets don't collide.
Ha! Something collided there. Wow, that was quite a wipeout. In this case, since I can't tell which one's hung up.
Maxime is off the course, and so we have to have a finisher, so
I think we should restart the
we have
race.
to restart it. Okay, here we go.
Wow.
There we go.
It's just really good racing.
Yeah, Antonin's RL Racer, the black one, it put up some pretty hot laps this week in testing. Hopefully he gets a time. Yep. Depending on how he likes to go in that barely outside edge and miss the and it hits that bug. Hopefully we don't hit that timing bug.
Well, if we do, we'll give him another chance.
And where are our racers now? RL Racing is stuck. And Maxime is stuck.
Okay, but we do have a one time on the board here.
We do have a lap time, so I think we have to call that.
Okay, so both obviously really skilled, racers. Really, the fact they got here is evidence that how fast they are. However, only Maxime, only Maxime, forgive me, only RL Racing Robot moves on with a good time of 24.80. Maxime, we'll see you next time. All right, back to our. To just kill my bear with me for a second while I accidentally closed the correct spreadsheet. This will take me a moment.
We have Nazy versus Parking Lot Nerds next.
There, thank you.
Nazy is the 3 seed, and Parking Lot Nerds is the 6 seed.
So Nazy, I believe, won the first virtual race, came in high, maybe second, third on the second virtual race, and but Parking Lot Nerds also has come in at least second in the various races. So it's going to be a tough competition. Again, you can see how close it is now. These cars look like they're really racing. Eventually, you'll see tactics of passing, obviously on the inside, avoiding other cars, etc. Sometimes you see that already, depending on how they've been trained, but soon that'll become universal. As the cars get more reliably able to finish and faster, they start to bunch, and that requires better tactics. Oh wow, that was quite a wipeout. Is Nazy going the wrong direction? No. Oh, he is. He's going the wrong direction. But nevertheless, he did get points on the board, and they are faster than Parking Lot Nerds so far. But let's see if Parking Lot Nerds can beat that, since it's still going. So Nazy's now sort of, basically hoping Lot Nerds doesn't do better than Nazy's best time. Parking Lot Nerds has one more lap to try to beat 25.92.
Nazy is recovered.
Nazy's recovered. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's obviously going to be one terrible lap as it went backwards for a while, but
oh, now it's going backwards.
Okay, so let's see how Parking Lot Nerds does. Oh my God, that was so close. So Parking Lot Nerds pulls it off. Nazy, who's a brilliant competitor, put on one good lap and then when it started going backwards, Parking Lot Nerds just kept going faster and faster and finally pulled it off with 0.7 seconds of a win and moves on to the next rung.
Nazy, if you recall, Nazy was our winner in our first race.
Yeah. So that was very exciting. Hogenemushi and Raul, you were going to be our last pairing, so please go. And then after that, we're going to have Jack S, and RL Racing Robots in our quarterfinals.
It's interesting that the last 2 races have been upsets, which is
that's a good point.
Yeah. All right.
Here we go. Oh.
The fact that their names are upside down is not a good sign. It probably means there's been some flipping.
Raul seems to have recovered.
Oh, a little luck there. Little bad luck. Let's see if can it recover?
I don't know. Looks like again she's stuck.
Yep. If Rahul hit him, it's possible.
That's true. Now, it's of course, cars could have the logic by which they get stuck. They just, back up and try again, and that's it's a little hard to train, but you could hard code it.
I've trained a model, and I've seen other people who have as well to back up when it's facing into.
Oh, didn't quite hit him. That was your chance to bring him back into the race.
And Hogan Imushi was our winner last race.
Yeah. Well, one of the things is that this often happens in real racing as well, is that if you sort of decide to sort of tune to go faster and faster, at a certain point you're going to, hit the edge of the envelope, and the faster is the riskier. And very close, but no. Okay. So again, an upset, I believe.
Hogan Mushi beat me last time, so it's only
Yeah.
fair.
Okay. So Raul moves up with a 2384. And we are now going to our quarterfinals. This is Jack versus RL Racing Robot. And on deck will be Parking Lot Nerds versus Raul.
Okay, here we go. Oh, Jack immediately coming out, which is actually a really good strategy to not dive into that corner, because that tends to tie the cars up.
I mean, they both hit the corner at the same time and hit
Yeah,
it.
yeah. If I could do a racer, I think I would train it to take that first corner wide.
Do we have one hung up?
Oh,
Oh, that's quite a crash. And
Oh.
back on its wheels.
and recovered.
Whew.
Bit of luck there. But they're both racing now.
The advantage of the best time of any lap is that you can have a terrible lap and still come out ahead.
That's right.
Okay, Jax is going to have to really bring it up with the next. Oh, there he goes. That's a nice one. Okay, so Jack's now in the lead with a 24.56. One lap to go. Let's see whether our racing robot can pull off a great final lap.
Hopefully it gets recorded.
Oh my goodness, he did. 23.68. Basically running up against the side of the wall on the finish line. But an incredible finish. Pulls out possibly an upset as well with a 23.68 and moves on. Both competitors did great times. So now we have our last quarterfinal, which is Parking Lot Nerds versus Raul. And then the final will be RL Racing Robot versus one of these two.
I think this is the first time we've seen an RL robot be in the finals.
It won't be the last. Okay, so for waiting for the racers to log in,
Okay.
we now have them.
And we will start.
It's a good thing that Parking Lot Nerds chooses a wider lane.
Yeah.
Again, super tight. Look at that.
Oh, it's close.
Oh my goodness. Nose to nose.
Rahul, did you train with other cars?
I don't know if it'll actually make a difference.
I mean, you can train it to avoid a little bit, or it will slow down a little bit.
Okay, so both put in conservative first laps. So Parking Lot Nerds is going backwards.
Oh,
did they collide? Did they?
They did.
Oh,
But it didn't help.
He just Rahul just did a 360 and kept going.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, parking lot nerds did the same and is now still going in the wrong direction. Maybe they'll collide again.
It's possible.
Was that 22 seconds from Parking Lot Nerds real lap time, or was that?
No, I don't think it was.
I don't think it was. No, I think that was going the wrong way around the
You
track.
know what? Yeah, I don't distinguish. Yeah, they went in the reverse, so we're gonna have to nullify that result.
Okay.
All right. So, what do we? So right now, Raul's time is legit, 24.90. Parking lot nerds, we're going to nullify the 22.96 since it was backwards, and but they do have legit times of 26.34, which I guess we're going to have to use as a comparison. So, Adam, my instinct on this one is the ruling is that Raul moves on and Parking Lot Nerds does not.
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay, so congratulations, Raul. You are now in the finals. So this is the big one: RL Racing Robot versus Raul. So, Raul, why don't you take a little pause right now and tell us a little bit about your training technique? And RL Racing Robot, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing, if you would like.
So I'm trying to compensate for lags by not just predicting what I should be doing at a given frame, but I'm actually predicting a few frames ahead as well to see if that helps. And then I'm compensating based on the amount of lag I have based on ping times. So I'll pick the appropriate future frame to decide what the car should do next.
Excellent. And Antoine, you're using reinforcement learning with an autoencoder. Can you
yes, I'm using the autoencoder to extract features, and otherwise I'm optimizing for speed and for smoothness. And behind the scene, I'm using Stable Baseline 3, which is also a library I developed.
Can you explain what an autoencoder is?
An autoencoder is just a way to compress images. So you train a neural network to compress an image to a small, to only very few float number, and then you try to reconstruct the image given that bottleneck. And that way you can reduce the state space a lot and still have the important information inside.
Since we're now having the two of you are kind of on the stage, let me learn a little bit more about you. Antoine, let's start with you. What's your day job? How old are you? What's your specialty?
So I'm 25. I'm in Munich, and I'm doing research in reinforcement learning for robotics at the DLR, so at the German Aerospace Center. And I'm a PhD student, in fact.
Fantastic. Raul, how about a little bit about you?
I'm 35. I'm a software engineer at Google. This is not my day job. I'm just doing this for fun.
Cool. All right. Well, we have had times when we have, sort of professional AI people. It looks like we have that more or less today. We've had times when we have amateurs, in the finals. We've had times when we had, high school students. We've had university professors. We've had the full range. All right. Well, enough talking. Let's put these two to the test. Let's put them side by side. This is for all the marbles. The winner of this will be the winner of the overall event. And I'm expecting a time in the 23 seconds range. Have we started? I can't tell. There we go. We're starting now.
Okay. And I will start the race now.
Okay, again, they are randomly assigned a lane. Look at that tight matching. Just wheel to wheel.
Ooh.
Oh, I think he took him into the wall. Oh, but he recovered.
Just as this goes, I'll remind everybody what the...
Oh no.
What?
That's not good.
Oof.
Did you go back the right way?
No, I did not.
Oh no.
He might hit him. Oh, he missed him.
Oh, RL Racing Robot right now. It's his
Wow.
race to win.
Oh.
All he can do right now is screw up by putting Raul back on the track. That would be the only mistake. If he just stopped now, he would win. So now it's just for bragging rights. The time.
Oh no!
Oh!
He recovered that.
And he crosses. That's it.
All right, there we have it. The
Right.
winner. Congratulations, Antoine. You are the winner of the event with a time of 23:92.
Nice
Just so we go back to remind ourselves, what the fastest time was overall. 23:92 was the winning time in head-to-head competition in the ladder. However, we do have even faster times that were achieved earlier in the race. Jack Silverman did 23:2. Hogan Moshi did 23:46. Nazy did 23:66. Maxime did 23:72. Interestingly, you do have sort of moments of brilliance, but the way racing works is it's not just being moments of brilliance. You have to actually consistently beat other cars head to head. And so Antoine, RL Racer, congratulations, you did it. And we will see all of you probably next time on August 1st. We'll probably have a virtual event starting at the same time, which is 10 o'clock Pacific. Then the physical event, COVID allowing, will start. The training will start at the same time, but the racing proper will start around noon, shortly after noon. And we'll try to stream the entire thing on Twitch so you can participate one or the other or both. Adam, Ton, Raul, anything you want to add? Maybe actually, let me turn back to our winner and say, Antoine, is there anything you'd like to add to what you've already told us about your car? Anything you'll do differently next time? Antoine's already hit the champagne.
I think I will just train more. I don't know. And I think, yeah, maybe one thing I didn't mention is everything was using only one CPU. So no GPU, no big stuff.
Congratulations. One of the things you can do in the virtual racing is you can use any kind of computer you want, multiple GPUs, use a supercomputer if you want. In the physical world, of course, you're limited to whatever's running on board, which is typically a Raspberry Pi 4 or a Jetson Nano or something like that. So it's real opportunity to explore both, massive compute and limited compute and see what kind of algorithms scale from one to the other. Adam, anything? Any other thoughts?
Quick question: do we post the faster lap for the record?
Sure. We'll post both. We'll post both the ultimate winner of the race and the fastest lap. So
Awesome.
the top 5 or 6. Adam, anything you want to add before we sign off?
No, this was a great race, and I think a surprising race, and it's the first time RL has actually won the DIY Robocars, and it's 3 or 4 years of existence now. So this is a pretty exciting day.
Should mention that's really a function of the simulator, which is so well adapted for reinforcement learning, and is a great way to introduce a new AI technique to our portfolio of AI racing strategies. Ton, take us home. Any last thoughts for about today, or what we can look forward to next time?
Oh, what can I say? It really shows that it's not just how fast you race, but how much you can recover from a knock. I think in reinforcement learning, you get a lot of knocks, and that's just part of the game. So yeah, I'd like to see competitors in the future concentrate on recovering from that contact.
Great advice. I'm sure you will see that. All right. Well, I wanted to thank everybody we just mentioned, all the competitors, all the members of the community, all the maintainers who participate in this, all the other, Robocars communities around the world. We invite you not only to continue participating with us, but also run your own locally. This one's super easy. Again, to go to donkeycar.com documentation, you can see how to run these virtual races yourself. Ton has really set up a simulator that's quite easy to set up. You can run this on your own machine just for yourself. You can host it for your friends. You can run it globally. This is really a great time to explore AI. So thank you everybody for joining us, and we will see you in a little bit more than a month. Thanks all. Bye.
All right. And